I don't think there is an organisation on this earth that isn't going to have to increase the rate of innovation. And that applies to not-for-profits and charities as much as it applies to an oil company. Now, there are a number of problems and issues around innovation. The first is that most places hopelessly muddle innovation and creativity, and they are not the same thing. Really important point. Creativity is having ideas, and we can have thousands and thousands of ideas. You can have some organizations which are naturally more creative. Most organizations should try to be a little bit more creative. In other words, be responsive to ideas. Try and encourage forums where ideas happen. This is not innovation. 10,000 ideas don't necessarily lead to a single innovation. So what's the difference? Well, creativity is a process of engagement and ideas generation. That's great. Creates a nice atmosphere at work. Innovation is making work better, making the things that you do better, not just marginally, but a step change. And it's that step change which is what innovation is all about. Really important. Now, how do you get that? Well, the key word around innovation is process. And if you don't have processes, you won't have innovation. So what sort of processes? Well, how do you decide out of 150 ideas which are the 3 worth taking forward? You need process. How do you give small amounts of money, small amounts of budget to parts of the organization just to take an idea a little bit further forward, to experiment a little bit, to gather more information? Requires process. And let me tell you straight away, if it takes 4 levels of approval to get £50 in your organisation, forget about innovation. You'll never get innovation, because at each level of approval you've got most opportunity to say no. You need money available very low down in the organisation that can be approved very easily, that you're prepared to write off. Not betting the bank, but just small amounts of seed corn funding to turn an idea into a potential innovation. So that's the second process. The third process that you need is the testing out of what is innovation and what is catastrophe. And sometimes those two things are very close. So how do you test out? How do you pilot? How do you make sure that what seemed like a good idea and seemed like it had some potential really can deliver for the organization? And that requires a lot of process. Then once you've got all of those things in place, the last process is how do you deliver innovation in an organization? How do you overcome the natural resistance of most staff? Oh, it won't work. Oh, we saw that last year. Oh, they did it down the road and it was terrible. How do you overcome the natural resistance and skepticism in an organization to move forward and actually start to put something in place which, as I said at the very beginning, leads to a step change? And it's the step change that you should be looking at. And any organisation that isn't making 3 or 4 major steps forward in a period of time, maybe 6 months or a year, is going to lose out. They're going to lose out to the competition. They're going to start to misalign themselves with their market, with their customers, with the people they serve. So innovation isn't a luxury. It's not something that's nice to have. Innovation is core to the way that you see yourselves and the way that you conduct your operation. But innovation requires process, and more than one process. If you remember those things, you're on the way to delivering and becoming a more innovative organization.